Brian Campbell does it again, and as the tour gets ready to go across the pond, we figured what better time to talk about your golf travel essentials. Let's get right into it. Welcome to the Tavern. Yeah. I think he's back to form. He fell off a little bit last year, but he also was named Ryder Cup captain. Give me Steve Bradley. I have new fun buttons. Welcome.
This scares me.
We also gonna have some breaking news. I don't really have breaking news.
Steve's back for the first time live as in person since May.
I know that disappoints everybody who wanted virtual Dave. And
don't forget to like and subscribe, everybody.
Hey,
and I need to apologize before we get this shit show started.
You're terrible hosting the past week without us.
No, we're not on Instagram tonight because there's a problem with link between our platform and Instagram. So no Instagram live tonight. We will be there later.
Play nice in the sandbox.
Right.
Lee, thank you for
yes.
Let's say carrying the show last week, right, Dave? I think Lee carried the show last week.
I think Lee carried it.
Thank you to Lee for picking up our slack for not being here. Dave and I were out of the country in two different places.
Yep.
So,
in the world,
and someone else is going out of the country soon, and that's what we're going to talk about.
That is true.
Is golf travel essentials. But
yes,
yeah, I think you're out of the country, and my out of the country was a little bit more different than Steve's out of the country.
Yeah, ours was a little more tropical in places.
Yeah,
and
mine's not. Mine's very Guinnessy. We'll just and leopard.
Greg, you and I had some different golfish gear that we needed for our vacations and what Steve is taking across the pond with him.
I got some new quarter zips. I got some quarter zips. We'll leave it at that. So
yeah,
that is true. We got to wear a lot of the boat attire because we were both on different boats. Steve's not getting boat attire.
Yep.
So
no, he's not.
Although the weather forecast is looking pretty good, and I think I'm taking some shorts with me.
Over there at that time, you actually do have some good weather.
We land in Dublin. It's going to be 80 degrees.
Oh, Dublin's fun. So
yeah.
But here's the problem: Steve can't drink Guinness.
No, Steve can drink Guinness.
Steve's
going to suffer. Drink Guinness.
Steve's going to suffer through Guinness just because it's Guinness. Let's just
don't suffer through Guinness. You enjoy Guinness. Guinness is a gift from the gods.
So
besides that, Dave, how was your week? You were cruising.
I was cruising. I was on a boat. I got a lot of compliments, and quite a few people asked me where I was rocking the new Golfish Nautical tee. So got up to we were on the Disney Wish and got off on the island, and Will and I and Whit, we did the 5K on the island, so that was fun. And
nice.
Climbed up the observation tower where they have all the nautical flags on. So got some pictures with the nautical stuff from Golfish, and got a pair of their brand new board shorts, which I really enjoyed. Were super comfortable to wear around the boat and in the pool. So nobody needs to see pictures of me in the pool. So that's why they're not there. And
we appreciate that.
No, we need to see them, but they will be seen other ways later.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was a great trip. It was good to get away and kind of reset everything. We're coming up into our busy time here between fair being in town and harvest and weddings and old threshers. So it's to be nonstop for me for the next couple weeks. So, but Greg, yeah, I did the cruise life, and you kind of did boat life.
I did boat and island life. I was in Belize, which I never thought I'd go to. Belize was a beautiful area. The Golfish shirts that I had were perfect for there. It was hot, closer to the equator. That was just
tends to be that way.
These shirts are amazing. Use code GolfingDads for 15% off your order at Golfish. But Belize was amazing. The food there was amazing. We went to 2 bars that were actually just in the water. They were in the ocean, Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, Gulf of whatever you're calling it this week. The inlet between Belize and the island or peninsula of San Pedro. And it was unbelievable. Crystal clear water. If you're on the coast side, there's a lot of sargassum, seaweed that was unfortunately taking over a lot of the coastline there. And they are battling with that. But otherwise, unbelievable food, unbelievable week there. Had a lot of fun. And left after the Pacers unfortunately lost Game 7, but came back to a Commissioner's Cup win for the Indiana Fever. So it was
yes,
highs and lows for here in Indiana. But Steve, how was your week?
4th of July here. I played golf Friday and Saturday. I got a couple rounds in. Saturday we actually got out with there were 4 of us, and we used T-box dice. Nice. Had a round with T-box dice, and that was a good time. We played a little team match along with the T-box dice, and it was fun. And but no, I literally just bought some fireworks, lit some fireworks off on the night of the 4th, and hung out with the fam. So it was good. It was a good weekend. And I got a 4-day work week this week, and I leave on Friday.
Where do you go on Friday?
Yeah.
I'm not going to sing Garth Brooks' song, but I'm going to Ireland. So
we appreciate you not singing.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. Well, with that, let's get into first round.
Ready to take your game to the next level? Desert Fox Golf's collegiate gear is growing fast, with over 25 universities and counting. Show off your favorite team on the course with the Phone Caddy and DJ10 speaker, built for easy access for every round. Perfect for students, alumni, and college sports fans looking to show off their school spirit. Gear up today at desertfoxgolf.com.
I will say I had this on the golf course this weekend, and everyone asked me about these 2 things. And my father-in-law, I got him a phone caddy, and he absolutely loves it. So use code GolfingDads, get your discounts on desertfoxgolf.com. And
get that collegiate gear. I need to talk to Scott because I need some. I think I'm gonna have to get that UCF gear. Get some
everyone
UCF down here.
Asked me about that. I had my Penn State ones out this week, and everyone asked me about both the phone caddy and the DJ10. Scott needs to get the Oregon Ducks because I got a buddy who wants some Oregon Ducks stuff on there. So that's gonna be next.
Why wouldn't you?
Here in Iowa, I know it's coming. He's already got the Iowa State Cyclones out. We're kind of waiting on some Hawkeye gear to roll out. But Scott told me it's coming down the road, and we're just patiently waiting, like all Hawkeyes do, because they can't beat, punting is winning. So patience.
Wow.
The Nittany Lions are winning it all this year, so let's just be patient with that.
Let's talk about winning.
Yes.
Talk about winning.
Winning.
We're talking about practice.
Winning.
We're talking about winning.
No. Second win of the year for this gentleman.
Correct.
Yes.
At a course Dave and I have played together. We're going to use the Steve drink lingo.
And let's be real, goes against the tour norm.
How's it go against the tour norm?
He's the shortest hitter on tour.
Oh, he goes against the tour norm.
He goes against the tour norm.
Yes.
Sorry, I misunderstood you.
No, not the course. No, he does. Shortest hitter on the PGA Tour.
Lefty. Hell of a putter.
Right. You know what scares me? And
U.S. Open or the Open Championship winner.
He's not a lefty, Dave. He's right-handed. What scares me is this whole talk of golf ball rollback in someone like him, who's obviously talented enough to win on the PGA Tour.
You're really going golf ball rollback? You can't let this go?
No, I can't. Because when you already talk, because again, It's just, I mean,
but here's where I look at golf ball rollback in this sense is everyone's going to probably roll back the same. So if I lose 10 yards, you're going to lose 10 yards
right.
On this. So does it really make a difference in my opinion? No. So
because the longer hitters are still
no. What I'm saying is, does it make a difference? Like, why would you do it? Like, are you actually changing anything with this? You're looking at it from a course maintenance standpoint and not having to lengthen stuff, but there's other ways you can do that. But
leave it where it is.
Congratulations to Brian Campbell this week on an amazing playoff win. It was what a finish. Like, I text you guys and I said, hey, Campbell's going to do it again. And then all of a sudden he double bogeys. And I call my dad and he's like, yeah, I turned it off after the double bogey. And I was like, you need to turn it back on.
And let's be real. Like, if you're a tour player, a caddy on tour, and you're looking at your yardage book where he hit that ball into the hazard, into the penalty area, there's a big red X in your yardage book. Like, you don't hit it there. And I mean, the miss there is right 100% of the time, because if you hit it left, you're dead. Even if you can find it, you're still dead. And recovered from making double, bounced back, and hit a great shot. I'll be honest, like the shot he hit on into 17.
Oh, that was phenomenal.
What a golf shot. And then I'm going to be honest with you, like, I'm sitting there thinking you got to make the putt. Like, you hit that shot, you got to make the putt.
So I'll tell you from that standpoint, from that putt, that's a downhill putt, and it's breaking.
Yeah, all the way.
So even a 5-footer, 6-footer from there is nasty.
It's fast. It goes downhill. It breaks back down towards the river. It's not supposed to, but it does. It is a ridiculous putt. But I want to talk about something here for the tournament. It's kind of an odds with Dave type segment here, and there's been some blowback on it, and it involves Max Homa. And I've been pretty critical of Max Homa on his odds and everything like that, but no player deserves what Max Homa has gone through with some people that are out there right now. Somebody sent Max Homa a Venmo request for $1,900. He's gotten death threats over his DMs because of just the way he played. He's tied 5th. Kudos to Max Homa, but if you're that type of gambler that's out there and you're doing this to players, get some help.
Yeah.
I saw the DMs that he posted, and it's very disappointing to me. And it's not just in golf. I mean, there's been conversations about baseball players getting death threats and things happening to their families. If you're that much of a lowlife, do me a favor, just get off social media.
Yeah, here's the thing. With sports is supposed to be fun. You win and you lose. We need to learn that in society. We have good days, we have bad days. And we're not always going to win. And when we don't win, it's when you pick yourself back up. You don't go and complain and say someone else. I don't complain about the Pacers losing because it happened. It was bad. Stuff happened out there. But you know what? At the end of the day, I can't change it. Can't change what happened out there. No. You know what? It was great to watch Max Homa. It was awesome to watch Max Homa play well this week.
I'm glad he's playing well.
I'm glad he played well. I think he played himself into some other events. With that tied 5th, I think it's fantastic. We armchair this, but we're not the guys standing between the lines, and we're not the ones inside the ropes. And kudos to those guys that are going through it every week in and week out. We've seen it with Rory and the media. Let them play golf. Let them enjoy.
We got to stop being critical and enjoy. I enjoyed watching the end of this John Deere because it was a classic. It was something that was fun. It was watching people play to the end. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys that were within 1 or 2 strokes all the way down to the end. You had a leader in the clubhouse at 16, and you had Max Homa, you had Matt Kuchar, you had some big names that were in this contention here.
Glover's up there.
Yep.
Lucas played great.
It was fun to watch these guys battle it out. And we talk about when it's not big names in the field or not people that are high up in the rankings right now, people that are struggling, it's still golf. It's still 18 under, 17 under, 16 under. It's still fun to watch.
Steve's type of scores.
They are. They're not U.S. Open scores, and Steve.
They're not.
Listen, I will 12 tell you, 16, I don't mind. 12 to 16, I don't mind. I really
Dave,
don't. These are the best people in the world.
Question. Dave, you've played this course before with me in every conditional weather that could possibly have happened that day.
And
it snowed,
Will and I were there.
Rained.
Yep. And Will and I walked it last year.
That's true.
And I've been, yes. That's two drinks.
The one thing that I will say about this course, and I want to get your opinion too, Dave, is I feel it's one of those courses that if you're hitting it well, you can really score on this course. But there's a lot of places on this course where you can get yourself in trouble or get yourself blocked out. It's not like just up and down and a birdie fest. It's you still have to play out there on this course. Yardage wise, it's not the longest.
You and I we didn't play it from the pro tips, but I think we played it back far enough. On that, and the weather for us was definitely a challenge, and I think this is one of those courses where if it wasn't listed as a TPC course, it would make a great, local. It would make a great country club course. Things like that. It happens to be a fantastic TPC course that's out there. There's undulations in the greens. There's up and down hills. There's peaks. There's valleys. There's uphill shots. There's downhill shots.
Elevation,
and it just
for Illinois. That upper area there. I think the track is a fantastic layout. There's some elevated tee boxes, especially on par fours and par fives, elevated tee boxes where you can just go at it. Especially on 8, right there, it comes downhill, right there from an elevated tee box, and you can just really go at it. But if you take that shot too far, you've blocked yourself out. When the crowds are there, you're in the crowds, and if they're not there, you're in the trees or, in the bunkers on the next, hole to the left of it. So Dave, let me ask you this question. I thought I talked to Steve about this, and Steve obviously has only seen this on TV. And I said 16, 17, and 18, I think is the most above average finishing holes. There's nothing too spectacular about them, but they are a great 3 finishing holes to finish up a golf course. And I think they're very underrated.
Yeah, you come down there towards the river, playing that shot in there on the par 3, and then you turn around and 18 again, it's an elevated tee box with a dog leg to the right.
So everything slants on 18.
It slants. You could try and cut that corner there and leave yourself an easier second shot in, but if you miss it, you're in the high stuff.
That's where
if you carry it too far left, you carry it too far left, you're in the patrons. When you and I play it, we're in the bunkers there around 17. So
that's true. It's like I said, I think it's a very underrated 3 finishing holes because it is probably 3 great finishing holes.
I think it's an underrated stop on the PGA Tour.
I agree with that too.
I will give them a ton of credit in that the charter that they have now that goes to, it used to go to the Open, now it goes to the Scottish Open. Mm-hmm. And the charter that they have for the players to go, I think is a great move by them to get people to come and play and then get them over there. And it leaves on Sunday night. You're traveling all day. You get there on Monday. And they charge the players. And here's the best part. They charge the players for the charter. They charge them $2,000 a seat. But that money goes to charity.
Yeah.
So
that's one thing that John Deere does very well is from a golfing dad standpoint, charity and the kids stuff that they do. And Dave, you can attest to that with Will, is great at this tournament.
Yeah.
I think you and I and Will and Ollie would have a blast.
I think next year we're making that happen.
The fact that they had a giant Bridgestone golf ball that you could putt with an excavator, that
for the win.
I think it needed the mindset technology on it, but that was up there the other year. It's not an expensive tournament to go to by any stretch of the imagination, and it's Midwest nice all over the place there.
So one last thing I want to ask, and Steve, I want to ask you this. Since Dave and I have talked about the course in depth here from our experience there, we need to get you out there sometime soon.
Yep.
Because this is right between Dave and I. It's a perfect location for Dave and I to meet up and play some golf.
It's in Illinois. We could probably get the
we'll get some
guardian of the drinking game of the Tavern drinking game. We could get him there with us. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we'll get him out there before we get you out there.
Probably.
But let me ask you this question, because we've talked about the Ryder Cup. We've talked about who's making the Ryder Cup team. And now you have someone like Brian Campbell, who has won 2 events this year, which is that's a good achievement.
And you know my theory, guys, I want to see on the Ryder Cup team if we're going to pick him, and they need to have wins.
You want to see him win. You want to see him hot. He is playing well right now. So Where do you see him right now? He is, I think he's like 30, but I think he's like 38th. He moved up in the rankings, or like 28, something like that. He moved up pretty high in the rankings right now, but he's still out of consideration in your mind?
Because of one reason. And it's the fact, and I hate to do this to a guy.
Chicks dig the long ball?
Chicks dig the long ball. Bethpage is a big boys ballpark.
Yeah, it is.
And it's funny because you look at guys that have won at Bethpage. Lucas Glover won there. Lucas is the longest hitter on tour. But I also feel like when you're the shortest hitter on tour and you're at a big boys ballpark like that, as painful as this is for me to say, because if I'm looking at the likes of Brian Campbell or Sam Burns, I'm taking Sam Burns because he can move it out there.
So I'll tell you from the experience, I've been to Bethpage and I've been to John Deere. And I will tell you, Bethpage is John Deere on
steroids.
A huge amount of steroids, like not even enough steroids.
Are we Barry Bonds steroids?
That's what I was going to say, but I didn't want to. Yeah, we are literally like, Bethpage.
Where are we on steroids with this?
Allegedly.
I'm sorry. Are we? What was the shortstop for the Phillies? I'm sorry, the second base for the Orioles. The guy for the Orioles that I never did steroids, but then popped for. Tejada.
Yeah.
We got Tejada? Like what?
No, I mean, because Bethpage is walking Bethpage. You need a Sherpa out there with the elevation and how you go across that place. It is long shots. I can see how when I was there the year that Glover won out there, and it's another daunting task. So I think Brian Campbell could do it out there. He could play well out there, but you got to have your A game out there, and it's different than the 2 courses he's won at this year. I'd like to see him win on a little bit bigger track, and then I'd be really considering him.
Here's where Brian Campbell has been so far this year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 missed cuts, 2 withdrawns. He has 2 wins, 2 tied for 32nd at the Masters and RBC, tied 31st at the Truist, tied 48 at the Cognizant, tied 51 at the American Express, and tied 55th at the PGA.
So he's all
around. That's his profile this year.
I mean, is it a week we're going to catch him on the all?
That's the thing. I don't think there's been a consistency. That's the thing. But I got to say, still, winning twice on tour is a big deal.
Is correct. There's no easy task.
I'm not arguing that.
No.
However,
I'm just arguing
he didn't win in a field that had any of the top players on tour in it either.
In both of his wins.
Yeah.
So, but had some top players, but not like
some top players.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I think.
I want to ask you one question, Greg.
Okay.
and it's Ryder Cup related.
Okay.
And it's a quick yes or no answer. If Max Homa had won this week, is Max Homa on the Ryder Cup team?
If Max Homa had won this week, yes, he is in the Ryder Cup. But I say this with a caveat. He's there now. He needs to continue that type of play.
Mm-hmm.
If he wins this week and drops back off like he's been the rest of the season, he's out immediately. It is a very, very small leash that he is on.
Yeah. Okay.
And I still stand by that. I still think right now I would lean towards him there if he is going on this path.
Right.
But as soon as he falls back down, because he's been playing well, if he keeps playing well,
now
I'm
going to throw this name out here who hasn't played great over the last 2 weeks and is someone we all think is a lock, Ben Griffin.
Once again, it's kind of the opposite. Ben Griffin has a longer leash right now, but I feel that leash is getting shorter.
Okay.
I feel Ben Griffin, I'm looking at that and saying, if this continues,
I would agree with that.
The 2 times I've picked him, he's missed the cut, so I'm out.
Yeah, stop picking him, Dave. Stop.
Dave,
yeah, especially around the Ryder Cup.
Hey, Dave, this is Sepp Straka from last year for you, okay?
When I pick Sepp, he wins the John Deere, so that's what I needed to. So, all right, let's get into happy hour. All right, so Steve, you are going across the pond to go see the Open Championship.
Yep.
And we decided to talk about today when you're traveling for golf. So not just for a golf tournament. When you're traveling for a golf trip, or you're going on a buddy's trip, or you're going on a trip where you're going to be golfing a lot, what are the essentials that you need to have on that golf trip? Like, what do you need to make sure you're bringing along? What do you make sure you're packing? Yep. And we all kind of put together some ideas of some things. So I'm going to go, Dave, I'm going to swing to you first. What's one thing, if you had to pick one thing first, that you don't want to forget when you're going on a golf trip, besides your golf clubs?
Besides my golf clubs,
he might forget his golf clubs.
That's why I said that. I was like, besides forgetting your golf clubs.
For me, because the one big golf trip I go on is in January. I come down there to Orlando to play. For me, it's about checking the weather, and it's do I need? Is it going to be shorts, or am I going to need a whole bunch of cold gear stuff?
And rain gear and rain gear
and rain gear
this year.
Yeah,
and sunscreen.
Oh, we all know jacket. Yes. So for me, it's checking the weather, and that's going to play a big part on how I pack. Living here, Greg, you and I are here in the Midwest, and coming out of this climate and going down to Florida, even though we live there, it's January, February in Florida. It's a different type of cold. Even though we're coming from snow and everything else, we may think it could be shorts and a t-shirt for us, and it's just a different type of weather. So
that is true.
It all depends on
that's a good thing.
Yep.
Checking the weather, packing appropriately for weather. So, all right, Steve, what's one thing that you make sure you gotta pack or gotta get ready for?
If you're flying, I think this is key. If you're flying, like if it's Masters week and we're meeting in Hilton Head, and my clubs are going in the back of my car, this isn't necessary. But if you're going on an airplane and you have your travel bag, and we've all seen the picture of the guy that tried to raw dog it without a travel bag and showed up with his sandbag and it's sitting outside the Delta counter. I am a big believer, and I have one here, of this stiff arm right here that goes in your travel bag.
Oh, that is an essential piece.
Yep.
Firm believer in it. It's $25 of goodness. And if you are traveling on a plane and you do not have one of these, just break your golf clubs. That's all you're going to do. The other thing with that I'm going to say that's necessary, and Greg, you own like 50 of these.
No, I don't.
Is
it's a travel golf bag. I don't own 50 of them.
No, it's not a travel golf bag.
Putter.
All of us own clubs.
Putter. I do own 50 putters.
Drivers that the club heads come off of them, so you need to make sure you pack your wrench.
Oh, 100%. That is I will say, the most underrated thing that I think most people that travel with their golf clubs don't realize is take the heads off of any removable clubs.
Correct.
Like, that is a game changer, and put them in your bag.
Put them in your
suitcase. In my backpack and carry on.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with something that, Dave, I know you just picked up, and I have it here with me too. I know what you're thinking. This is an essential kit for anybody who likes to have some beverages on there. The Agent Or.
I have the larger variety here.
Yeah, but that's not carry-on safe. That is
this is not carry-on. This is packed.
Yes. They have a carry-on size that I will say that you can bring your favorite bourbon.
I'm going to the land of Irish whiskey and Guinness. Do you think I'm taking that with me?
Yes. Here's why you need to take this, Steve. Take it empty.
And fill it up.
Bring stuff back. Like, that's the key. Is like I was just in Belize, I said, we got a lot of liquor there. Bring back the leftovers in this, because you can't bring back the bottles that you have over there that you've already opened up. Like,
one of the things that I like to pack to make sure that in my carry-on, by the way, especially if you're on a long flight, is to make sure that I think every airline now has a plug and an outlet at every seat. So making sure that you have your chargers to get that, but also a charging brick. Yeah.
Essential. I had that here for that. Make sure you're bringing your charging essential, just because if you're stuck in an airport and people have all the chargers plugged in and you need to get on and watch the Golfing Dad's Tavern and your phone's about to die. I
mean, I imagine that.
Have a charging brick.
You know, speaking of the Golfing Dad's Tavern, I carry this in my bag, and I know it's a PGA merchandise staple for us. The Golfing Dad's Tavern Hangover Recovery Kit,
which includes another thing you need to travel with, is always a koozie. Always have a koozie.
So you know what's funny, Greg, as you hold the green one up.
Yeah,
I'm actually literally. I was like, I need to pack a bunch of green koozies to take with me this week.
There you go.
So I thought about that. And Dave, you are right. The Hangover Recovery Kit is probably going to there's going to be a few of them that get thrown in my golf bag to throw underneath the plane, so I don't have to worry about them.
Oh, mine's in my backpack, in my carry-on. It is there 100% of the time.
Yep.
And it always goes with me.
Another thing that is in my carry-on, by the way, that's a great thing to have, dude wipes.
You never know that.
You never know.
TMI, man. TMI.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, again, whether it's you're getting off the plane after you slept all night on a red eye and you just want to freshen up, dude wipes work for that.
So that we know that Steve doesn't shower anymore. He just uses dude wipes. Yeah. I will say another thing that I think is great is this DJ 10 speaker. But remember, with this and with the battery pack, has to go in your carry-on. Do not put it in your golf bag. It has lithium batteries. They do not want that under the plane. So just make sure you put those in your carry-on when you're traveling for that. Dave, you got something else?
And you know, we talk about a lot of, you know, our products that, you know, we do here all the time. You know, we've, you know, the T-Dice and your Shank and Duff card when you're playing with all your other friends. But what's one thing outside of our normal stuff from Desert Fox or Bridgestone or Jacket or Golfish? What is something that you have to have, maybe not just one, but multiple of when you go when you travel?
So funny enough that you say that. Sunglasses. I like to have two with me. And like I have my Oakleys, I have my Ray-Bans. That's one thing that I like to have with me when I'm traveling, because I like to have one in my golf bag and one that I'm going to use for everyday use, just in case one gets lost.
For me, it's two pairs of sunglasses or with interchangeable lenses. I prefer more of that blue iridium tint when I'm, you know, out there playing golf, and kind of a blacker tint when I'm out walking around. Steve? because you don't go anywhere without your sandbagger belt.
I mean, the white belt, I'll always go.
It's true.
The white belt is going. For this trip, and I need to give a shout out, and this is a shout out that is not sponsored or anything else, but TGW has had some really good deals on rain gear. And when you're traveling to Europe and to the British Isles, having some good rain gear, TGW, thank you guys. I got a new quarter zip, and then long sleeve and a pair of pants, and they've had some great deals on them. So shout out to them for the rain gear, because that rain gear is really good and you have to have it. But I also think one of the things that you have to remember that you have to take with you, especially if you're on a long flight or anything, are these headphones. Having a good pair of headphones on a plane.
Yep.
Yeah.
Noise canceling.
That was.
I did buy a neck pillow for this trip. I've never owned one, but flying the red eye from Detroit to, we're going through Detroit into Dublin. One of those neck pillows to wrap around my neck to try and sleep, because I've been struggling to sleep on planes.
Check out our buddies at East Side Golf. They got a new store.
They do have a new store there. Yes.
Terminal A. Terminal A.
Yes.
And I think, we're talking about packing and everything here. You got to remember to save room and don't pack your suitcase full, as you want to bring back swag.
That's true, especially when you're going to something like
because you don't want to ship it.
Yeah. No, not paying for that one from Ireland.
No.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. I joked with my wife that I thought about throwing my backpack into a carry-on suitcase, only because I figured that will give me an empty suitcase to bring back, and I just don't want to have to deal with it at the airport once I land and stuff like that.
Not a bad idea. That's a good thing to do, is when you have like a smaller backpack that if you're having a roller carry-on with that.
Yeah.
By the way, when you're traveling on an airplane, understand that there's a rule. You get 2 items, not 50 to carry on the plane.
Right.
I don't know how many times I've gotten on an airplane this past few weeks where people were like, well, what do you mean I can't carry? It's like, this has always been the rule. Nothing has changed. Be polite to people when you're traveling.
It's not the airline.
Other people.
It's TSA. So
no, it's the people. No, it's the people. It's the people that.
Well, I know, but they're just like, well, this is an airline rule. No, it's not an airline rule.
No, it's also space on the airplane. There's not a lot of space.
Yeah.
Like, be considerate of other people when you're flying.
I'm a big fan. I know you guys, I think, both have it. TSA pre-check also, if you're traveling, especially.
Big deal.
Big deal.
And I'm TSA pre-checked, and I also have clear.
Do you have? So now I just got with Delta the what is it? The picture ID one.
Yep.
Where you have to submit your picture and your passport, and it's just that line was so much even shorter. The pre-check plus the digital ID.
Yep.
Great.
Yep. Yeah, because I have global entry. So even if you're only traveling overseas once, spend the couple dollars and get it, because it lasts for quite a few years.
It's like 8 years on global entry.
Yeah. Steve, you're in and out of MCO all the time. We're flying in and out into MCO. Yeah. If you don't have TSA pre-check and you're traveling to a large destination like Chicago, Orlando, LAX, New York, take a book and read it while you're standing in the regular line, because you're going to need it. Maybe pack a picnic lunch.
I will say, I've got one more thing that we need to talk about.
Before we go on to that, I will say on TSA pre-check, the one time before I got it, I was on a business trip in DC, and everyone but 2 of us had pre-check, and I didn't. Because it was in DC, everyone had pre-check. That line was long. The non pre-check was just us 2 people. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But everywhere else, that is not the case. TSA pre-check is the thing to do.
I'm going to say this, and we have dogged these on our show. They get dogged across the internet. There is one acceptable use for iron covers. And that is if you're flying to protect your irons. It's the only time you can use iron covers, and they need to come off immediately when you land. Like that's not.
You know what else you can use? You can use a towel from Towel Tag to
wrap around the next thing that I was going to say is that you can also wrap your clubs with a towel from Towel Tag,
and you don't have to use iron covers.
Or you put a Golfing Dad's Tavern koozie over every one of them, and so that way you have extra koozies.
That's not the worst of ideas either, Dave. So hey, no towels from Towel
6 weeks off. I'm coming back with brilliant ideas.
There you go.
And think about it. You could also get a towel done in advance from our friends at Towel Tag to remember your trip in advance to have a keepsake for your vacation.
That sounded like a paid advertisement right there, even though it wasn't.
It wasn't. Really was. It was a shameless plug.
No, here,
that was
a shameless plug for you. Plug. I got a Dave shameless plug for you.
Yeah, I mean. Rainforest Cafe Orlando. What?
Yeah, but I'm using Towel Tag's shameless plug.
Yeah.
So with that, but I'm going to add that we all drink, and one thing that I always travel with is a Yeti, a thermos, something like this that you can throw in your bag, fill up when you're at the airport, get some liquid IV, some Gatorade packs, something like that. Makes all the difference. Big game changer there. So that's one thing I like.
So, all right, you got anything else?
Everybody's different. Maybe not so much for Greg, but Steve, I think you and I travel probably with about 5 or 6 different hats when we're out playing golf somewhere.
Yeah,
I try.
You got to coordinate.
It's like a problem out there. Hats is. I have a bag. I have one of those cases for hats just to travel with. It goes in my golf bag. You got to have them because you don't want to wear the same hat that you were sweating in on the golf course all day.
No.
That you want to wear later on out on the town that afternoon. So, anybody got anything else that you think is a travel essential that you have to have on your golf trip?
Bail money.
Nah, you can make that at the casino.
So, yeah, I know.
But when you're traveling,
let's see what happens when we go to French Lick.
Yeah, that's true. There's a casino there, so
there is a casino there,
and that is a shameless plug for our show in September. We are going to be going to French Lick to visit our friend Rob and Sweeney out there and get a lot about that. So you're going to learn about a golfing dad's travel trip, and we're going to document that whole thing for you on here. Not going to be live, but we're going to document it for you, and it's going to be fun. So we'll talk more about that and what we travel with when we go to French Lick in September.
I will say that one of the things that I have to make sure that's in my bag for next week is my eye range. Partly because I've got some content coming up that we're going to shoot while we're there. So pretty excited about that content. That's also packed in the bag.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, make sure you have all your essential golf gear as well. All right. With that, let's get into Smack of the Week.
All right. So I had a Smack of the Week picked out for this week. And then I was cooking dinner tonight and scrolling through TikTok, and this one popped up, and this one was funnier. And there's a smack and then a second one, so you got to wait for the second one.
What Steve finds funny is not always the opinions of the rest of the golfing dads. That's our disclaimer. Did I miss the second smack?
I missed the second one.
Oh, we'll go back. Hold on.
I get this one.
I get that.
Number one.
You didn't see the takeout by the tube?
No.
Once again, the opinions of Steve are not the opinions of all of us here at the Golfing Dads Tavern.
Right here. Boom!
Oh, she got hit by the tube. Oh, now I see it. All right, now I got it.
As Greg and I laugh fictitiously.
I missed that there.
Oh.
All right.
Once again.
Let's get into last call. So we get a wee bit Scottish this week.
Mm-hmm.
Wee bit.
Going over the pond for 2 weeks in a row here. Last May is coming up in 2 weeks. And this week, before that, this has become almost a staple, a prep course for the Open that everybody goes over.
I'm going to ask a question about this event because I feel like this event has become a major event on the PGA Tour. I wouldn't call it a major, but I also feel like they should maybe make this an elevated event.
I have said for the past 2 years, I want all of the opens, the Canadian, the US, the Scottish, the Open, Mexico. I want a separate
pool
entity for that. Like, I want to see the Grand Slam of the Opens. Like, that's something that I think that's why they need to be elevated. I think these events...
and I think you would get a couple people to play Canada and Mexico that normally wouldn't.
Yeah. I like having those opens as kind of this like mini major type thing. Now, the Open and the US Open are majors. So I like the Canadian, the Scottish, and Mexico to be the mini majors that lead into these opens. Like,
it'll be like the NBA in-season tournament champion that nobody understands either.
That's a good way to put it. Oh, I understand it. And the Commissioner's Cup.
Well, I know you do.
Congratulations to the Indiana Fever on winning the Commissioner's Cup this year.
We are shameless plugging the shit out of that tonight.
Oh, yeah, we are. WNBA, all for it. You know what?
Yeah.
All for the WNBA. So.
But, I think, to both of your points, I think this has become the kind of the prequel to the Open Championship. And it just, it falls in line with, all the other opens that are out there. It is a true test of golf that is out there with, now it could be, 80 and sunny on one day and negative 13 and a hailstorm the next day that you're going to be playing through. So, or it could be that way on the front and the back nine. You just never know.
Did you, Dave, I don't know if you saw it. Greg, you may have seen it. There was video of Scotty caught a 413-yard par 4 downwind at the Renaissance Club and hit it to 8 feet and missed it.
I did not see that.
Typical Scotty.
It's typical Scotty, yeah. Typical Scotty.
Yeah. All right. So, leading into this, let's get into odds with Dave at the Wee Scottish Open.
Welcome back. Get odds with real Dave. No virtual Dave.
No virtual Dave.
But
gonna be scoping out these.
I want to back up just a hair here because I looked up and I saw something sitting up above me. Steve, I'd like you to take your swing scribe with you. I'd like to see your notes on hitting iron shots and everything over there in those conditions as compared to how you're playing at Orange Lake.
That's a good point.
So shout out to our friends at Swing Scribe.
I think I'm the only one that's played over on the Isles over there.
Yeah.
So it's
we have currently 3 rounds booked, by the way, next week. In the Isles. And I will tell you, one of them is the childhood home of Rory McIlroy.
Hollywood Golf Club.
We are playing Hollywood Golf Club on Sunday.
Nice.
On Monday, we are playing Ardglass, which is the 3rd best course in Northern Ireland on the Irish Sea. I'm actually kind of nervous about that round. I'm not going to lie. Partly because there's 2 holes that literally terrify me out there already, and I literally can't wait to play them.
Hey, just think
great mindset going into it.
You're gonna play better than I would, so just look on the bright side.
That's fair. And then on Tuesday, we're going to play at a place called Carindoo. And Carindoo hosted the amateur local professional Irish Open a few years ago. And the second hole at Carindoo is a 155-yard par 3 on the edge of the Irish Sea with a cliff. That you could hit anything depending on the wind from pitching wedge to 3-wood on. And really excited about that. And I think we might sneak in a 9-hole round on Wednesday after going to the Open. After going to the practice round at the Open, we may sneak in a 9-hole round on Wednesday afternoon now.
Are you trying to still stump to be Colin Morikawa's caddy over there, or you give that one up?
No, I gave that one up because he hired freaking Billy Foster.
You know who's looking for a caddy right now over there? Harris English.
Really?
His caddy was denied the UK visa because he has he's a convicted felon, and so the UK will not let him in. He served a prison sentence for distributing cocaine for 10 years and 2 months, and with the new UK policies, I just read the article on ESPN not too long ago. He was denied that new UK travel visa.
Shocked at that.
Yeah.
Wow. Just gonna leave it
so
at that.
Harris English is without his caddy going into the Scottish and
I know somebody that
what's that?
Was he DJ's caddy at one point?
Could have been.
So
or dealer.
All right.
So
let's get into the
odds. So Harris English right now 60-1, going way down the list to find him. I just meant to bring that up a little bit earlier. So leading the field, Scotty coming in at about 3.5 to 1, Rory at 8 to 1, Xander at 18, which I think is high. Tommy Fleetwood at 22, Morikawa at 25, McIntyre and Ludwig at 30, JT at 35, Corey Connors and Victor and Sam Burns at 40, Matt Fitzpatrick at 45, and our favorite, Sepp Straka at 50.
What's Scotty at?
So last week with the John Deere, both Greg and I missed the cut. But Greg's missed cut was worse than mine. So he's picking first. And Steve made the cut, but had the last place finisher. But he picks third this week. So Greg?
Breaking news. With my first pick, I'm taking Scotty.
Yep.
Shocker there.
Yep.
I got to get back on track. I think he'll play well.
I'm not taking Rory.
Holy shit. Wow. That might be the biggest surprise I've seen all day.
Hold on. Breaking news.
Dave's not taking Rory when he's available. You taking Ricky?
Tommy Fleetwood.
Whoa.
I'm going to be honest with you. There are choice words running through my mind right now because I was actually going to take Tommy this week.
Yep. Tommy Fleetwood.
Tommy has finished T4, T6 last 2 years at this event.
Yep.
So I'm actually looking. I had a long, hard look at Tommy Fleetwood.
So I'm just writing Rory in for you this week then, Steve?
You know, I literally had two guys because I thought that either Fleetwood or Ryan Fox would fall to me. Where's Ryan Fox, by the way, this week?
Dave. 65.
Feel like Ryan Fox.
With Taylor Pendrith and Harry Hall.
Yep, give me Rory.
Okay.
All right. Well, with that, everybody,
good
luck to everyone in the Scottish.
I honestly figured that you two were going to either take Rory. Dave, I'm shocked that you passed on Rory. And I was going to take Tommy Fleetwood, so I'm kind of surprised by that.
Let me ask you this week, Steve, are you virtual next week?
You know what we need to do is we need to do our duck race in advance, and I will give you a virtual pick once we do our duck race.
Okay. We will do our duck race in advance, and then we'll get you your virtual pick so we have that. So with that, have a great night, everybody.
Cheers, y'all.
Deuces.
Really fortunate, man. I mean, having an opportunity to build something that's
And remember, folks, use code GolfingDads to get 15% off your order at Desert Fox Golf. Also use code GolfingDads to get 15% off your order at golfish.com. Use code GolfingDads to get 20% off your order at Jacket Sunscreen. And use the Golfing Dads Tavern to get 5% off your order at FlightScope.